somebody's going to end up standing.
Not wrong. We got lots of chairs. Need more chairs, we'll get more chairs. Need one more, board? Just for you.
And one more.
No!
I don't see the panel. Pull one of these.
Okay.
Go a little more this way.
Got it all okay. We got everybody seated. Thank you all for coming. Thank you guys all for coming. We are going to be live streaming tonight too, so hopefully we have some listening audience out in live stream land. I want to thank the Legion for giving us the opportunity to do this here. The Ladies Auxiliary, they did all the food. So help yourselves, all of you. Thank you to the candidates for coming up here. I know it's a long drive for pretty much everybody. And thank you guys for showing up. And Ryan and Selkirk Sun for the live streaming. So the itinerary, I want to keep this under 2 hours. I have it set for about an hour and a half roughly. We added 2 more candidates in the last 5 minutes here, so it's going to stretch just a little bit longer, which is why I kind of had cut it for an hour and a half roughly, because that'll still keep us under the 2 hours. So the way that this is going to work, it's not a debate. This is a meet and greet. So the candidates are each going to get 7 minutes, and I'll start the timer and keep you on your 7-minute mark right there, awful close to it, to keep us under the 2 hours. At least get 7 minutes to explain what you want to explain, and then I'll come take the mic from you, introduce the next, and we'll just keep shuffling through. I think at the halfway mark we'll probably take 5-minute break, just real quick, so you guys can get up, stretch your legs, you guys can get up, but you can mingle anyways. You can too if you want to get something to eat, or however it works. It's pretty laid back. At the end, when it's all done, the candidates are going to be around here, so we're going to open the bar up at the end of it. It's open now, non-alcoholic beverages, but sodas, waters, whatever, they got it back there. Afterwards, the bar will open. If anybody wants to stay and have a drink, and then you can talk, ask all your questions that you have of the candidates on a one-on-one basis, as opposed to a question and answer. Lots of time after the primaries for debates and questions and all that kind of stuff. So that's the basic format. I'm just going to ask the audience that everybody be respectful. Whether you agree with these people up here, like them or not, they're the ones putting the time, effort, money into running for a position which is not friendly or fun. So everybody give them respect. I think that's it. With that, the flag is right behind you twos, we're going to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance I'm going to open us with prayer and we'll get going. Lord, I thank you for this evening. I thank you for everybody that has showed up here, for the audience, for the candidates. I pray, Lord, for the direction of our country, Lord, that it goes where you want it to be, Lord. And I just ask that you guide this evening, that you're with the folks as they travel. And we just lift this all up to you. In Jesus' name, amen. So with that, we are going to start out with, and I will give you a 1 minute when you got 1 minute left, just so you guys know you're inching in on your 7 minutes. Matthew Weldy, and you are running for Congress, House of Representatives, correct?
Yes.
There you are, 7 minutes.
First, I want to say thank you to everyone who helped arrange this event and inviting us to be here today. It's an honor and a privilege to be up here. I very much enjoyed the drive up from Spokane. I live in Liberty Lake, but I was in downtown Spokane for an event and drove from there to here today. It was a lovely drive, and I appreciate this opportunity. So I want to start out after providing some good thanks to those who helped set this up by telling you a little bit about myself. I want to start with my current career path. My current career path is I'm a domestic violence prosecutor. It's a line of work I've been in starting in 2010. And so my career focus up to this point has been fighting back against violence against women and holding their abusers accountable, helping victims and survivors of domestic violence escape violent situations and transition into healthier and safer situations, both for themselves, their children, and their families. I'm very proud of the work that we've done. Over the course of my career, in addition to prosecuting my cases, I've helped train law enforcement in how to properly investigate domestic violence when they respond to those calls. I've helped tribal organizations develop domestic violence treatment for offenders through their tribal organizations so that the treatment would be more effective to help reduce violence in Native communities. And one of the big issues that we've campaigned on, which is an extension of my work in the area of violence against women, is the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women, which is a huge issue nationwide and in our district where we have a lot of Native American communities. So that's been my career focus up till now. My goal in getting to Congress is to be in a situation where I can help more people on a wider range of issues, whereas now my commitment to community, serving my community and public safety is more one case at a time, and I work in a single county as opposed to a broader area. A little bit about my personal life is I'm married with my wife Susan, and we have 2 children. Our son Randall just turned 16 and just had his first driving lesson, so pray for me. We're doing that. And my daughter is in middle school. She's 13. She loves playing soccer. And my son got an electric guitar for his 16th birthday present to replace his acoustic guitar. He wanted to make that change because he's been playing the guitar now for about 5 years and really seems to enjoy it. So that's kind of what's been going on the family side for me. My wife is a master's level clinician at Frontier Behavioral Health in Spokane Valley. So she tries to help people with their mental health situation and help improve their lives through that route. But I also want to talk a little bit more about my extended family and why I chose to make the drive all the way up here to Metaline Falls. It's not lost on me what the scorecard says up here from a electoral perspective. You look at the electoral history of this area. I'm running as a Democrat. Anyone who gets their ballot will see the D next to my name, so there's no mystery about that. And people that run as Democrats don't typically get a lot of support in this area. It tends to go the other direction. That's just sort of the political landscape and the electoral history. But I'm here anyway. And the reason is because, I went to my undergraduate studies at the school that is our traditional family school, where my older brother, my mother, and her father went, and that's the University of Oklahoma. And I graduated from there in 2007. While I was attending school there, my mother's oldest brother, my Uncle Jerry, lives in Norman, which is in Oklahoma where the university is, and where Susan and I were living was just a little ways down the street from my Uncle Jerry. So I was over at his house a lot. We hung out and visit. And we would even chat politics because I was studying political science as my major in college. And so my Uncle Jerry's, he's a pretty conservative guy. He tends to vote Republican, and those are his political views. And he and I would chat about that. We'd talk politics and everything. And in one conversation, I asked him if he'd ever supported a Democratic candidate before. And he said he had. And one time he had. And I asked him about it. And I said, how come that one time did you choose to go, different than what you would normally do? And he said, well, it was a city council election for the Norman City Council. And the member of the city council that was a Democrat that I voted for, he came to the house, knocked on the door, and he talked to me. We sat down in my living room, and he answered my questions, and he was a reasonable guy, and he showed me respect. And we didn't agree on everything, but then he asked me for his vote, and so I gave it to him. And so that's why I'm here, because I want to represent the entire district. I want to get to know the entire district. So I'm here to sit down with everybody, show everybody respect, answer everybody's questions, and even though we may not agree on everything, we'll probably agree on some things, and then ask you for your vote. So one of the things that I have, which I think makes me unique among the candidates in this race, is I have a skill set from being a prosecutor for these many years that will serve me well if I make it to Congress. And that skill set is the ability to work with people who are on the other side. Congress is a adversarial system. There's two sides. They don't always get along. Every day I go to court, I work with defense attorneys who are on the other side from me. I am literally prosecuting their client. Their client's rights and sometimes even their freedoms are at stake, because if it's a serious case, we might be discussing incarceration in prison, because I prosecute felony domestic violence. So I'm talking to their attorney about their rights and their freedoms and their liberties. Yet we're able to find common ground as a starting point, things we can agree on to build from, to resolve difficult issues and solve difficult problems and resolve tough cases where there's a lot of moving parts. And that skill set I've developed over the last 14 years will serve me in Congress, where I'm gonna have to work with people who have different priorities than me. They come from a different background, and they have different perspectives and different interests. I know how to do that. I've been doing that my entire career. So I think that will help me if I'm able to get there. And I think that in this district, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, one of the things that's pretty constant is that public safety is a high priority. I believe that anyone who wants to represent this district effectively has to have a strong background in public safety. And I do. I've been fighting for public safety, for holding offenders accountable my entire career. I think that will help me reflect the interests of the people living in Washington's 5th District very well if I make it to Washington. So those are the bases for my campaign. And when everyone gets their ballots, you'll see 11 names listed for Washington's 5th Congressional District. So I ask you to remember, while there may be 11 names, there's only one Weldy. Thank you.
Next up, also running for Congress, is Bernardine Bank.
Thank you. So this is the 4th event today, and as you were suggesting earlier, it is quite a journey and quite a bit of time and commitment to do this. So first off, I would applaud everyone here tonight, because we are all doing what we feel is our civic duty and our responsibility to step up and participate in government. And I also applaud all of you for being here, because you're doing your civic duty to hear the candidates and be a part of government and understand what you're voting for and who you're voting for. I'm Dr. Bernardine Bank, and I'm running for Congress. As an obstetrician gynecologist, I'm horrified by the life-threatening and dangerous lack of adequate health care for women since the Dobbs decision by the United States Supreme Court in June of 2022. Women's health is family health. Women's health is women's rights. And women's health is human rights. An exodus of providers in affected states has led to the shuttering of obstetric departments and expansion of the healthcare deserts plaguing America, especially in rural areas. Starting and running the Spokane VA's gynecology department has also given me insight and authority on veterans care and veterans' rights. Our veterans deserve top-notch health care and access to that care. I plan to reestablish the satellite VA clinics in the district that closed down years ago. That would be both in Republic and Colville. And the Cerner electronic medical record is bad for veterans and their providers. It should not be used at the VA. What else matters to me? Making sure our fellow citizens in Airway Heights don't have forever chemicals called PFAS in their drinking water. Collaborating with small businesses, farmers, Native American communities, rural areas, and disadvantaged communities to address concerns. Expanding access to all health care, including mental health care, and bringing some of the $1.3 trillion of infrastructure money into the area to increase rail and broadband and to improve roads and bridges. Like I do when seeing patients at the Chaz Clinic in Spokane, I will listen. I am also prepared to learn, whether it's visiting wheat farmers in Dayton, the Lower Granite Snake River Dam, the VFW and American Legion in Chewelah, or going to Ukraine, where over 30,000 people in Congressional District 5 have friends and family under fire every day. I will represent this district with leadership, passion, and listening skills that come natural to me as a physician. I'm Dr. Bernardine Bank, and I'm asking for your vote in the primary. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Bernardine. The next few are running Washington State Rep, 7th District, I believe. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. And we are going to start with Tegan LaVine.
I'm going to go ahead and mimic what the others have already said. Thank you all for coming. It's everyone gets a little bit nervous talking in front of people, and a lot of other people that come. You guys got off the couch and showed up, and it takes all of us to show up to make a difference. So thank you very much. My name is Tegan LaVine. I've lived in Okanagan County for the last 33 years. I've raised a family. I've sat on city council for the last 7 years. I've got one more year in my term. I have sat on the Okanagan County long-term recovery. We've rebuilt over 40 homes since the Carlton Complex fire, which we will be recognizing, I don't like to use the word celebrating, recognizing the 10-year anniversary next month. With that, I've also worked with the Okanagan County Prosecutor's Office. I'm the administrative assistant there. We went through COVID, and we were one of the only prosecutor's office in the state that didn't shut down. We flexed things, we moved things around, and we stayed open to provide services to our community. That is one of the reasons I'm running. We need better public safety, and we need to prioritize our law enforcement and those that support that. Dispatchers, the jails, we need that whole system to be higher up on the priority level. Even if it's therapeutic courts, we need people to protect us. On the, I'm just gonna go through a lot of reasons why I'm running. And we have thousands of reasons to run, but these are pretty much my 3 areas in which I feel strong that I can represent you all in. So 2 years ago, in the legislature, they put out a new law, revised a law in regards to LFOs, and told all the defendants, you don't have to pay your legal financial obligations anymore. Well, then on the victims, through appropriations, on the crime victim impact fees, it was defunded $1 million. There was only $2 million in that fund. So last year we worked really hard. I went over there several times during the legislative session, And we talked to every representative on both sides that we possibly could. And through appropriations, we're able to get that $1 million back. For all those here that have ever been a victim of crime, the person that calls you up in the prosecutor's office and says, hey, I just wanted to let you know, this is when the hearing's gonna be, this is when this is happening, I'm here for you, here's my number. That's what that money pays for. It pays for somebody to be able to walk through someone who's been violated through the criminal justice process. And we were able to get those funds back. Building strong families is huge. We need to protect our families also, especially in rural Washington, where we have ranches and farms, and we want our kids to be able to grow up and come back to. We need to protect our property rights, our water rights, and protect our lands in agriculture and stock from apex predators. I'm going to end with this because I'm thinking I'm probably running out of time, but this session, I went over there 2 days before session ended, and they were debating on the floor the natural gas ban. And I got there late, and I was watching, and they kept on going back into caucus and coming out, and back into caucus and coming out, and back into caucus and coming out. And I said, what's going on? And they said they don't have the votes. And then they came out, and one of the representatives from the west side got up and said, she talked for several minutes. And she said, even though 90+% of my constituents want me to vote against this, I am voting for this. And right then and there, I have always said to everyone, your voice will never be heard if you don't share it. And with that, I made up my mind, I want to be all of your guys' voice. She did a huge disservice to her community by voting against them. And I never want to do that, and I want to be your voice. So please, vote for me when you get your ballot. Tegan LaVine, thank you.
Thank you, Tegan. Next up is Ronald McCoy.
Don't let the legs fool you. Sometimes I come with the crutch, sometimes I come with the walker, and sometimes I use my electric scooter. However, I'm not a fan of electric cars. Anyway, my name is Ron McCoy. I'm from Chuddy, Washington. I was 67 years old, married for 46 years. We adopted 6 children. We have probably helped foster over 30. And so a lot of my time was spent with my family. I served in the Navy for the 20 years, 4 active and 17 reserve. I worked for Safeway for 27 years. I got involved, I believe that running for this position, you need to be a servant. You need to listen to our communities. We have a lot of small communities, and so I picked 2 issues that I want to talk about, and that's filling up our old buildings in town. All towns, these small towns, have a lot of vacant buildings. Sometimes they want to take and move the business outside of town. I say keep it in town and leave our farmland alone. My hopes is that I can gain a lot of ground. I really do need your vote. I'm not a big fundraiser. In fact, all the campaign funds right now have been paid out of my pocket. If I get some endorsements after the general, or into the general, that'll be fine, but I'm very choosy about who donates to my campaign. We had a lot of questionnaires when they were coming out and you were running for office. If we didn't look at those real close, you don't know who you're trying to talk to, you don't know your audience. I love coming into these small communities. There's a lot of nice people in these communities. We all have dreams, we all have ambitions. My wife kind of glad that you only give me 7 minutes because a lot of times I get carried away. But thank you. So anyway, I just want to make it clear that I want to be your representative. I want to come to your communities. No city too small. We've been in some, we're going to another one in Malo. If you know where Malo is, it's a little tiny community. And I don't know what the population is, but when I lived up in Republic, There was a gas station, grocery store, post office in one building. So small towns is what I focus on, small communities. We live in rural Washington, the best section of the whole state of Washington. We need to take your voice over to Olympia, not mine, yours. And if I don't come and listen to you, I'll put my hearing aids in, I promise. But anyway, I think that I don't just think, I know we need change in Washington, we need change in the United States. I started off as I wanted to be on council, couldn't get there. So some people said, why don't you run for mayor? I said, I don't know nothing about being mayor, I'm a grocery clerk. I'm a service guy. What do I know? Anyway, I was elected. I did 4 years as mayor. I got away from it. I helped my wife raise our children. After they were all raised and I fully retired, I decided it's time to get back into politics. I don't really like that word. I like it better in communication. But I'm on city council in Chihuahua right now. I serve on 2 different committees, which is finance and code. I'm not real bashful. At first I am until you get to know me, and then I liven up a little bit, sometimes a little bit too crazy. I'm a sailor too, so some of that helps. Anyway, I hope I get your vote, and I hope that you come by and talk to me if you feel like it. We have got some excellent candidates that are running for office, and I need you to pay attention to them if you would, and listen to what they have to say, because we're going to listen to you. Please vote for Ron McCoy in primary.
Thank you, Ron. Next up is Paul Dean, Rocky. I believe Kat Chuddy is going to speak for him. He could not make it tonight.
Microphones hate me, so I'll do my best. So good evening, all. Thank you for letting me stand here in place of Paul Rocky
Need
Dean.
to be closer to the
Oh,
mic.
okay, thank you.
All right.
Nobody can hear me later. That's great. So thank you for your patience while I go through the speech that he sent me. So since you know I'm not Rocky Dean, I wanted to say that he's unable to join us because he had a break in his water system, and he's dealing with that catastrophe right now. Scrambling to find an available plumber so he and his family can once again take for granted the magic of tap water on demand. That was me, not Rocky. He sends his regrets and his disappointment and asked me to tell you all, quote, I'll be back. I didn't do that very well. My name is Kat Chuddy. I'm here to give you my best shot at reading this in 7 minutes. He told me I had 8. Okay. Voting for our elected leaders has always been one of our most important and sacred duties as citizens. Events like these, where people can hear directly from candidates, are vital to the process of free and fair elections. You'll be hearing a lot about our rural way of life tonight. Let's be honest, rural is why we all live here. The peace, the quiet, the beauty, the privacy, neighbors helping neighbors, like mine did when my water system failed. Those are reasons why my family and I settled here 5 years ago, but we would be deceiving ourselves if we didn't recognize the challenges that living rural brings, like broadband. The last few weeks around my house have been dramatic, with our internet access completely disappearing for days at a time. Given what we're paying for that access and how far our technology has come, it shouldn't be this difficult, right? And yet, from what I hear from my travels around the district, my family's experience is not the exception. Broadband access, or the lack thereof, affects more than whether my boys can play their video games. We all know our area needs jobs. New businesses are hesitant to build in areas like North Pend Oreille County because buyers want secure internet on demand. We need new homes in our area so employees can live close to their workplace and contribute to our economy. But builders are hesitant to build because many of our communities lack the infrastructure to add neighborhoods, adequate roads, sufficient schools, healthcare, and yes, sewer and water districts. And high-speed internet are lacking. The lack of broadband and or the means to pay for internet service affects seniors and veterans who don't have access to telehealth options in our rural districts. Our students are not always able to get the service they need for research, to complete assignments, or get their schoolwork, help with their schoolwork. The lack of unreliability or insufficient broadband affects each of us because it affects our communities. The American Legion recognized the importance of broadband in 2021 when it passed a resolution calling upon the federal government to expand high-speed internet access into remote areas. Progress is being made, but we need it done sooner. Infrastructure challenges affects too many of our small rural communities which struggle to adequately fund basic services. I've been on the Springdale Town Council for 4 years. I've seen how something as simple as replacing a water meter that unexpectedly went out can cause chaos with the budget of a small town. If elected, I will pursue the creation of a grant hub where available grants can be listed in one location, allowing towns to find and apply for them easily. Now, obviously, this won't help with emergency issues, but if towns can get grants for routine expenditures, they can set aside funds for emergencies. Many people are unhappy with our schools. Like our small towns, they are struggling. Capital expenditures are something most can't even consider. But even worse, far too many have dropped arts and technical career classes. Art programs allow our children to experience increased self-esteem through creative self-expression. Technical career classes are essential to guiding children interested in aerospace, engineering, robotics, computer programming, and other technologies, as well as traditional trades, to prepare them for successful careers. Not every child is destined for university. Now, no school district is funded at 100%, and levies that do fill the gap must pass by at least 60%, which often results in close but no cigar outcomes. We need to and can do better for the future of our children and our communities. I'm aware that Pend Oreille County is currently discussing how to spend the one-time funding from the Local Assistance and Tribal Sufficiency Fund. Should it go to roads or economic development? If the infrastructure is there, if communities have the basics under control, roads, schools, healthcare, power, libraries, internet, etc., our communities will be stronger and more resilient. Families will stay, housing and work opportunities will develop and thrive, and our children are more likely to find a future here. I understand the problems rural communities face are complicated. If elected, I intend to continue to educate myself, then work on relationships, partnering with others no matter party affiliation, to help solve problems. Folks, I'm tired of the division that plagues our country. I'm tired of leaders telling us that only one party is patriotic or has all the answers. That's not the America I know. Throughout my life, whether in the military or the town council or simply lending a hand to someone in need, I've seen the strength that comes with unity and collaboration. As we move forward, remember, no one person, no one party has a monopoly on good ideas. I believe in reaching across the aisle to find real solutions for our community. Because at the end of the day, what matters most isn't which party you belong to. It's whether you're willing to roll up your sleeves, work hard for the people you represent. I will not criticize my opponents. They bring valuable perspectives and experiences to the table. But I know who I am, and I know what I stand for: service, unity, and commitment to the hard work of making our district a better place for every one of us who lives here. By working together, we can create better outcomes for our children and our community. As you consider your choice in this election, ask yourself, who is the person that will truly serve the 7th LD with integrity and dedication? Thank you for your time. Thank you to the American Legion for hosting this and everyone who made it happen. And let's build a future we can all be proud of. And I want to add, oh, there you go. Sorry, I have to read. It's not my words.
Thank you, Kat. Next up, we have Pat Bell.
Thank you very much. So I just want to start out also by thanking you all for being here and thanking for the Legion. I'm proud to be a member of Sons of the American Legion, and I'll get into that a little bit later. I've been about half of the Legion halls in the district. It's always a great place to swing in, get lunch, get a cold drink, and bring my kids in and get to meet some great people. So thanks all for being here. So again, Pat Bell, running for the 7th District, the people's seat. People always ask me, which seat are you running for? I don't say somebody's name because these seats don't belong to any individual. They belong to you all, to us, the people. I believe in we the people. I'm running to defend faith, family, and freedom, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that as well. So starting with, I'm a family man. I'm married to my college sweetheart, Risa. She's a social worker. We have 2 kids, Bobby and Ava, 6 and 9. And today they're off camping out in the backwoods, and I'm here with you all. But that's what this job's going to require, is some sacrifice. And I know that I couldn't do this job alone. I couldn't do it without my wife and our family. And so that's my commitment to you all. Family's going to come first, for sure, but that we are willing to sacrifice to do this job. By background, I'm a family rancher. My family has farmed in the district for over 100 years. First up outside of Chesaw, which is over in Okanagan County in the Highlands, and now in Springdale, so our family ranch is. I grew up there on our family farms. I've had some amazing opportunities in my life, off the farm and on the farm. And I'll tell you, since I've talked to you a little bit about faith, there's no greater faith than a farmer who plants seeds in a field and expects rain, and then prays for sun, and then prays for more rain, unless you have irrigation. Sounds like Rocky's got a little bit of an old faithful geyser today. I feel bad because he's actually my neighbor, and if I'd known he had an issue, I might have stopped to help him. But some of those opportunities I had came through groups and organizations like 4-H and FFA. My whole life I've been involved in the community in one way or another, outside of my education. I did go to 2 Christian universities, and proud to earn those degrees, the first generation of my family to do that. That work eventually took me to becoming an education advocate in Olympia. So I have real world on the ground experience in Olympia. I know how the legislative process works, how committees work, how bills work, how voting on the floor works. But it also led me to 8 years with our congresswoman. And so I just want to focus on this point for a minute. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve all of you already. And I've done that for over 8 years. And for any of you with children or that pay property taxes, I was also doing that as an education advocate. So I'm proud of that work, and there's a lot more about it on my website and on my rap cards back here. Be happy to talk to you about that offline if you'd like. A little bit more about my parents and my family. So I was also blessed early in life to have 2 loving parents. They grew up in Orville and Tenasket and pursued their dreams, pursued their family businesses. And that took them all around Eastern Washington, all around the state. But here is home. Here in Eastern Washington is home. This is where we're choosing to raise our family. Those 2 kids of mine, they're both in public school because we're not giving up on our public schools. I'm someone who keeps my commitments. And so I want you to all know that. I keep my commitments to God, to my family, and to my community. My word is my bond. I also show up. I'm here tonight. I stand up. I'm standing right now. And I never give up. But to never give up, that requires all of you coming alongside us and coming behind us and encouraging us as candidates. So I would appreciate tonight if after we're all done speaking here, everyone wants to come up and meet us, that would be great. But words of encouragement are oftentimes helpful, and we don't see that enough on the campaign trail, and it really does make a big difference. A warm handshake, a smile, and good to be here, good to have you here. That means a lot to us. A couple of commitments I've already made in this campaign. One is to ban foreign ownership of farmland in the United States. So we know that the Communist Chinese Party, which is regarded as an adversary, is doing that. They're also buying up property around military installations in this country. Half of the US states have already taken that step. Washington has not. I would like, as one of my first 10 bills, and I'll be introducing a list on my website of what those bills might look like, but I'm also looking for ideas from you all about what kind of legislation you would see you would like to see put forth first. Another one of those bills is to waive the licensing fees for disabled veterans and Gold Star families. Not just for one individual in the household, but for the entire household, for things like a boat or an RV. Now, some have said, well, that's expensive. Yes, it is. We also have a 60 plus, maybe 70 plus $billion budget at this time that has doubled in the last 12 years. But you know what also is expensive? Spending $340 million of federal COVID relief money and giving that to undocumented people who are here in the country. And that's one of the things that our state did. This bill would be a fraction of that. So I just raise that when people say that there's not enough funding for this or there's not enough funding for that. I do think we have to get back to responsible budgeting. But when the stick in the mud to do something to show appreciation for our veterans is the cost, I don't think there's enough we can do to say thank you, to help our veterans enjoy the benefits that they earn. A couple of things about endorsements, I'll just mention. I'm proud to be from a law enforcement military family. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Washington Council of Police and Sheriffs. Those are our frontline officers. Proud to be endorsed by the Washington Fraternal Order of Police, 3 of our county sheriffs, 2 of our prosecutors, 4 city legislators, and a number of people here in this room. Those endorsements are really helpful because as people hear the name Pat Bell, they can go to the website, they can see who else is already supporting me. So if any of you here tonight would like to endorse me or support me, I have yard signs out next to my rig out there. Hopefully they're still there when we get out of here. But I would welcome your support. I'll just wrap up by saying that public safety is my top priority. I have a number of other priorities, including education, including getting back to responsible budgeting. But I think we need to be harder on drug traffickers. I think we need to be harder on repeat offenders. We need to be harder on retail theft offenders. We need tougher penalties, and we need judges who will actually hold offenders accountable. So I'm Pat Bell. Thanks for your consideration. I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you, Pat. Next up is Sue Ing Moody.
I too want to start by saying thank you for hosting this event here, and thank you all for coming as well. My name is Sue Ing Moody. I'm the former small business owner and town mayor for the town of Twist for the last 13 years, and I'm running to be an experienced voice for you in Olympia. I was born and raised in Canada and first moved to Twist nearly 25 years ago when I met my husband and his family working overseas on a project in Mongolia. I'm a sociologist and was just finishing up my graduate studies in Germany when I was asked to go and work with remote local communities that had been devastated by wildfires that surrounded them and destroyed half of the forest area in the country. Since my expertise was in the field of combining the social sciences with forestry, my job was to discover why these human-caused fires were happening and to provide recommendations on how to prevent them from moving forward, because these fires were not only devastating for the environment, but also for the people who lived around them as well. Communities who had a rich history of generations depending on these natural areas for their lives and livelihoods. Back then, I used to think it was my experience that took me to Mongolia, but when Washington State's largest wildfires broke out in back-to-back years surrounding my town, when I just happened to be the mayor, I knew it was God. As a woman of faith, I knew then, like I know now, that this is where I'm supposed to be. This district is my home, and it has become my job to defend it. Using the knowledge and experience I've gained as a mayor in Eastern Washington has provided me the unique opportunity for the past 10 years to use my voice and fight for the small Eastern Washington communities like Metaline Falls and the rest of Pend Oreille County. There's a lot happening in our communities right now. We need common sense solutions to combat the fentanyl crisis. Solutions that will work to ensure that there is care for those addicted while also keeping our communities safe. We need reliable, high-speed broadband to support our local businesses, schools, and healthcare services. We need to properly fund our roadways in a fair way, without extra burden to Eastern Washington families. And we need to better prepare and protect our communities adjacent to natural areas from future wildfire disasters by properly managing our forests, which includes thinning and logging. Provide resources so that communities can do their part. Improve our emergency communication system for the sake of our residents and first responders, while making sure that we have enough trained firefighters, and I do come from a family of firefighters as well, with the necessary equipment and air attack resources for a strong initial attack. There's a lot that happens in Olympia these days, both good and bad. We need to be paying attention to what is happening, because what happens in Olympia, not DC, is what really impacts us here the most. To do that well requires a combination of hands-on experience and serious skills to navigate and get things done for us, and to fight when needed against statewide policies that impact us, even if it means arguing with West Side interests, cities like Seattle, against bad policy. I have done that. For the past decade, I've had the privilege of building incredible relationships with people like Mayor Leniger here and Mayor Canals and Chihuahua, and I was honored to have been elected by them and other elected leaders across the state to serve as president of the Association of Washington Cities in 2020 because of these experiences. They can tell you that I'm very serious when it comes to defending our way of life here in this place that I call home, and that I've been pretty successful in making our voices heard. Although I may not have been born here, I did choose to live here in this district, and together with my husband, who's here right now, he was born and raised here, and we watched our two boys grow into two young men in our small community of 1,000, because we know and value the simple things in life and appreciate the goodness of our neighbors, who are both our family and our friends. We cherish our way of life and our faith, knowing that at the end of the day, it's not the things in our lives, but the essence of all that we have been, all that is around us, the blessings that really matter. We have been blessed and believe it is our responsibility to protect our blessings with public service. As mayor, I'm known as an independently minded leader who doesn't believe in dwelling on the problems, but rather on choosing instead to focus on finding working solutions to the complex issues of today that this community cares about. I'm running because I care deeply about the issues that affect the 7th District, and I've been road tested as being an effective leader through 3 federally declared wildfire disasters, and testified many times on critical statewide issues representing small rural communities like this. I have no problem tackling the complex, challenging issues of the day, because I know that a strong Eastern Washington voice is needed to provide balance to legislative policies that are often driven by West Side urban interests. The fact is, one size does not fit all, and the voice of this district really matters. With 2 very experienced legislators now retiring their positions, we can't afford to be left behind in the district. So I am running to use my skills and reputation as a strong, experienced leader to work with others, regardless of party and affiliation, to be effective and be a common sense voice for you. With the Republican Party in the minority in our state's government, to get things done, we are going to need to work together. And I have the necessary skills and relationships in Olympia right now to do just that. I'm fiscally conservative and believe in transparent and responsible government to serve the people, and believe that real common sense solutions need to be made and work for the people here in this community, in this huge district. And I promise you that your voice will be heard if I'm going to be your legislator. I know the job, what it takes to do it, and have the proven experience, relationships, know-how, and time with my kids grown now to navigate Olympia and hit the ground running to get the things done that you need. To do that, I have to ask you humbly for your vote, to be given a chance to serve you, so we can be successful together and ensure a bright and flourishing future for you and your family for generations to come. My name is Suing Moody, and I would be honored to have your vote. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Suing. 2 more, and we'll take a quick break. Next up is Abel Hunter.
Thank you very much. Just turn that around slightly. It's Hunter Abel, but I like Abel Hunter even better. It sounds like a military operation. I'll take it. That's good. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Hunter Abel. You can call me Abel Hunter if you want. I'm running for position 2 to represent our wonderful 7th Legislative District in Olympia. I call it the Fighting 7th. Really quickly, I'm joined by my 2 beautiful daughters here this evening. Girls, if you want to wave your hands. 2 quick items. So at these campaign events, we're encouraged to bring our what they call campaign swag. So buttons or handouts or signs and that sort of thing. And I was talking about this with my oldest, and she put together a campaign pamphlet on my campaign there with an article, an interview, a word search, a color page. I'll tell you, it's the best campaign literature you're gonna see all year. So she's brought copies of it for you if you want to check it out, to find out a little bit more about our family and my campaign. She was also recently involved in theater and reminding us about the importance of smiling when you're on stage. So Sue Ing was talking about the disastrous effect of wildfires, and my daughter was back there urging me to smile. Smile. So, as I said, my name's Hunter Abel. A little bit about myself. I'm a Christian, I'm a father, I'm a military veteran, I'm a business owner, a rancher, and a constitutionally conservative attorney. I'm going to talk about each of those a little bit, talk a little bit about my background, why I'm running, then I want to conclude by talking just slightly about this preamble to the Constitution of the Legion I see on the wall. My background is I was born in Colville. My family's got 4 generations here in the district. I was raised over in Inchelium. Inchelium's a small town. We play 8-man football. We'd come over to Selkirk quite a bit and play 8-man football over there. You learn a lot of lessons growing up in a small town. I went K through 12 there in Inchelium. And like a lot of young people at 18, I said, I've had enough of this place. I'm kicking the dirt from this town off my feet. Went to the East Coast. And I was on the East Coast down in Virginia when 9/11 happened. And my life changed dramatically. I decided for me that was our generation's Pearl Harbor, and I wanted to do something. So 18 months after 9/11, I enlisted in the United States Navy, right down there at the Navy Reserve Center on Assembly in Spokane. And at that time, for all of you who served in uniform, I'm sure you remember this, if you were a reservist, you were either getting ready to go, you were over there, or coming back. And that was the mantra that we heard for quite a while during my initial service as an enlisted person. At that time, I entered Gonzaga University School of Law. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I was fascinated in the Constitution and how it impacts our country, how it makes us a free, prosperous country. And so I was commissioned 2 years later, then again at North Assembly, went off on active duty and deployed to Iraq in 2007, 2008. And our job every day was to go out and prosecute the insurgents who would attack coalition convoys. I came back to the States and then was here until 2010 when I left active duty and I joined a law firm called Williams Kastner. It's got offices in Spokane, Portland, and Seattle. It's a regional firm. And I had the opportunity over the course of the ensuing roughly decade to solve problems for churches, small business owners, and families as they navigate a legal landscape that is increasingly hostile to the beliefs of people of faith. And then in 2020, like a lot of people, when the world kind of seemed to turn upside down, I said it's time to go back home. So I came back to Ferry County and I live on the ranch. We raised timber, we had cattle there, we sold the cattle off this year, but it's now a 3rd generation ranch, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it will look like to potentially transition it to my children. Last year, I also had the great honor of being appointed as our Ferry County District Court judge up there in Republic. Now, in District Court, as you may know, it's primarily misdemeanors and small claims court actions. So for the misdemeanors, it was mostly people I went to high school with, just a number of years later. And small claims court actions, I had an entire afternoon that was a small claims court action about ownership of a pig. So that was kind of fun, and talking about a farm economy, it was the dollars associated with the pig. So I stepped down from that position when running for this, because as a judge, you can't be partisan, right? So that's a little bit about myself. I'd like to talk a little bit about why I'm running. I am running to address the scourge that fentanyl is throughout our district and our state. You talk to any law enforcement officer or leader in the state, they will tell you that fentanyl is bar none the #1 public security threat that we face here in the state of Washington. As a district court judge, I know what works and what doesn't work in addressing violent crime and addressing the issues related with drugs. 2, I'm running to support and defend our unique rural 7th District way of life, and that means supporting things like ranching, farming, orcharding, and ensuring that we've got the jobs here that allow people to have the kind of lives that they want to have if they live out here. My theory is that people live in the 7th District because they want to live in the 7th District. There's something that attracts them to this area. We have to make sure that they are able to have the kind of lives that allow them to take care of their kids, and allow them to take care of their folks, and provide for their own retirement. I'm also running to support and defend our Second Amendment rights. I'm a military veteran, I'm a concealed carry permit holder, and unfortunately, Second Amendment rights, which are protected not only under the US Constitution, but also under our Washington State Constitution, are all too often a disfavored right by the majority party in Olympia, and I'll be a strong defender of our Second Amendment rights. I said I was going to talk a little bit about myself, a little bit about why I'm running, and then conclude to talk about the preamble of the Constitution of the American Legion up there. You know, I don't know if I've read that. I've been in this room before, but I don't know if I've read that. But if you look at it, it says the very first line is for God and country, then the third line is to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. I'd say for me, for God and country is a pretty good mission statement for my campaign. That's why I'm running. And then that pledge to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, that's a pledge I've taken twice. When I enlisted and then when I became a commissioned officer in the United States Navy. I'm still a commander in the Navy. I take that obligation very seriously, and I'm asking for your vote in this primary. Hunter Abel, I'm running for position 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Abel. Just kidding. Thanks, Hunter. And the last in this group is Andrew Engel.
Thank you. I got to go first in Republic the other day, our first candidate forum, so it's nice to go last in the race for this. Good evening. It's great to see all of you. It's great to see so many people I've worked with over the years in the room. So thank you. My name is Andrew Engel. I'm running for the state legislature, 7th District, position 1. I live on the edge of Colville with my wife and my 4 young children, where I've been deeply involved in my community throughout my life. So I spent 14 years as a firefighter for the Addy Fire Department, as a volunteer firefighter EMT. I was also the chairman of our Addy Food Bank and president of Colville Rotary until the rest of a couple of days from now when it transitions, so I'm going to be past president. And I've been involved in a lot of other nonprofits and government boards and other things over the years. So my wife and I, we were farmers selling produce at area farmers markets and to local grocery stores until in 2016, until the government passed legislation called the Food Safety Modernization Act. Some of you might remember this. There was some spinach E. coli outbreaks happening about 10 years ago. And so they passed sweeping food safety regulations, and it was supposed to exempt farms under $500,000 a year. But by the time the agency finished with the rules, it was down to $25,000 if you sell across state lines, which I did. And so after going through the classes, I just couldn't figure out how to justify that. And I went and complained to Kathy about it, at Morris Rogers, and she actually ended up hiring me. And so for the last 7.5 years, I've had the privilege of working for Congresswoman Kathy Morris Rogers, working with thousands of people, government agencies, nonprofits, food banks, town of Metaline, and others. And over these years, my love for people and empathy for those struggling and passions for finding solutions has just continued to grow. And I've developed a deep appreciation for this community, as well as small towns and rural areas across our district. So when I was growing up in Colville, we used to come over here regularly to go camping at Metaline Falls, or to go visit Gardner Caves, or take a tour of the dams. And as you know, this is an incredible place. All across the 7th District is incredible. I really do think that Pend Oreille County is probably close to the top. I feel like it's an enhanced version of Stevens County where I live. And so, you know, from our mountains and waters and trees to the diverse and hardworking, patriotic people who make up our communities, this has been a great place to live, to raise a family, and to live a slower paced life in harmony with nature. But unfortunately, the division in our state is rapidly growing. Politics have become toxic, and the government has become less functional. Government intrusion into our lives is weighing us down. Crime is rising, and it's becoming more expensive and complicated to do just about anything. I see people starting to lose that American spirit, to feel beat down and giving up hope. And I feel like I'm ready to stand in that gap and work to restore trust and confidence in representative government for the disenfranchised and for those who need help, and to protect the rural way of life for us and our children and our grandchildren. When I was a kid in 4-H, I liked to spend my spare time at the fair going to the political booths. I like to go to the Democrats and say, so what is it you stand for? And what do you think about the Republicans over here? And then I'd walk across the Republicans and say, here's what they said about you. What do you think of that? And it was a very enlightening experience, and I love to do that over the years. And, I'm a lifelong Republican Christian who believes that it's important that we learn to have that dialogue, that we talk with those we disagree with and try to understand them, because what I found in my years working for Kathy, as well as before that, is that we all want about the same thing out of life. And so I'm a Republican who's going to stand firm on my principles while treating everyone with dignity and respect and working to find common ground and find solutions to our problems. And what I'm saying to people is, even if you don't believe that it's the right thing to do for representatives to work with all of their types of people, if we can't learn to work together, we're never going to get anything done in this state. So my campaign for the state legislature, it's all about people. I love people and the people of this district. I know this community, having worked here for many years, and I wanted to share with you that I'm supported by a number of elected officials, community members, including Congresswoman Kathy McMorris-Rogers, your county commissioners, your sheriff, as well as a lot of other people. And I believe that my experiences give me a unique understanding and qualifications to provide you with the exceptional representation that you deserve. Thank you for taking the time to come out tonight and engage with the candidates, to listen to all of us speak, and to learn about the issues. Again, my name is Andrew Engel, and I humbly ask for your support.
And with that, I set the timer. We'll take a quick break, grab something to eat, use the restroom, stretch your legs, and when the timer goes off, we'll get going again.
So, go. Great. I had a 2-minute speech. Just threw me off a few times. I had 2 minutes prepared, and then 2 minutes to tell you on issues. And then I thought of that. You're right. Especially since it's really good. So I can Sam, when he sent it out to me, I said, it was hard to prepare, but I needed or just some
Oh, I'm fine. I was just thinking about going to grab one.
I thought maybe you couldn't get up from your camel. It's just like recycling out for free. And I couldn't find anybody else. And I give you How are you? Carol, you introduced me. Well, introduced me right here.
move into a more local group. We got county commissioners and PUD commissioners. So we are going to start with County Commissioner District 2, Steve Minnick. District 1, Steve Minnick. Is it Minnick or Minnich?
Minnick.
Steve Minnick.
Just like the name Nicholas with the CH has the case of.
Thanks. I have a hunch I was the one who came the furthest tonight. This morning at 4:30 Pacific time, my alarm went off in my hotel room in Boise, Idaho. At 5 o'clock Pacific time, I was on the bus driving home. This summer, I'm driving tour bus for Northwestern stage lines. It's been a very fun experience, and at the end of the day, I have more energy than I had at the beginning of the day, because when you are doing something you love, you always have more energy, right? And I have so much energy now for the opportunity to be running for our county commissioner. You know, driving buses taught me a lot. I always remind people who are getting on the bus to be very careful with the stairs, because stairs can be tricky, right? Because they're always up to something. But you know, stairs are also important in other ways, because step by step, you rise above the crowd and you get to where you want to go. Those are two good lessons for us to learn, because generally speaking, politicians are tricky because they're always up to something. Public servants, however, are helping you get to where you want to go step by step. That's what I want to be for our county. You know, I'm driving a $1.4 million bus, but I wasn't always a bus driver. I started out training to be an opera singer, and then I became a music teacher, and I was at Inland Empire School of the Bible, teaching choir and Bible studies and Christian education. And then they had a drop in enrollment, and I had to move on to a different job. So my wife and I went to Lewiston, Idaho, and bought a service master business. 3 years later, I sold that business for 3 times what we paid for it. So that was a good thing. And then I went into public school teaching and taught for nearly 30 years in both public and private schools. 14 of those years were here at Cusick Public Schools, and Tara is smiling because her husband was the music teacher here in the Selkirk School District, and Donovan and I got to know each other over the years. I also joined the Air National Guard Band of the Northwest in 1972, and got out in 78, returned in 1991, and served for a total of 26 and a half years as a singing entertainer and low brass musician. I've sung to audiences of 60,000 and televised audiences of 2 million. But I'm actually a very shy person. I stuttered when I was a kid, and I had a crossed eye, and my classmates made fun of me. But I've learned how to overcome these what normally would hold other people back. You know, even though I drive a really fancy bus with all kinds of electronics, the thing I like the most is I can stop anywhere and use the portable potty in the back. We have a portable outhouse, right? I don't know, that may not seem funny to you, but it's hilarious to me, right? You know, back when we were growing up in the 70s, I graduated in 1971. It was, hey man, whatever. Now it's, hey dude, depends. Is nothing gonna make you laugh? Come on, that's good. Some things I want to accomplish. Well, bus driving has also taught me this. I love serving others. I love it. I love helping them with their luggage, protecting their possessions, making sure that they don't miss anything as they get off the bus. And on top of that, I get them to their goal. Now, those are three things that every county commissioner should have. The desire to serve others, that's key, isn't it? And also protecting your safety, your health, your welfare, your property. You know, our Declaration of Independence says that we have these inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but actually, originally, it was the pursuit of property. But they didn't put that in because they didn't want the Southern slave owners to believe that they had a constitutional right to own slaves, to own another human being. But property is very, very important. The Growth Management Act has to go. I don't call it the Growth Management Act, I call it the Gross Mismanagement Act. Last Friday, a week ago yesterday, I had a great conversation with Brian Denzel, running for the office that Kathy McMorris Rogers is vacating. And he helped to pass the law where counties could get out of the Growth Management Act. Candidly, that would be a very good thing for us. We almost made it. He's remembering that it was the Ione mayor and the Newport mayor who decided not to continue with the Growth Management Act. You know, last Saturday we had the parade, and I gave away a bunch of these cards, and after this group of people have shared their stories, we're going to have a drawing in a public place, so it's all up and coming. I want to finish up with just a couple of things. As a bus driver, you learn to get out and look. If you're going to back up, you got to make sure what's behind you. Well, I'm going to get out and listen. That's my goal, G-O-A-L, get out and listen. I want to find out what people here in Pend Oreille County are concerned about. I noticed that some of you are watching me as I talk to a couple of Democrats here, even though you know that I'm a staunch Republican. But we had the most helpful conversation on the Zoom meeting. And I realized, you know what? I'm not running as a Republican. I am running as a commissioner. You will not see an R on my poster. There is no R. I'm not running as a Republican. I'm running as a commissioner with my goal to serve you. Please go to steveforcommissioner.com. That's my website. If you'd like to have a copy of my plans for the county, I have 10 copies. Thank you so much. Vote for Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Next up is our first incumbent of the evening, seeking re-election in that same District 1 County Commissioner spot, John Gentle.
Guys, thank you for doing this. I knew it was election season when I saw a photo circulating from 4 years ago. You'll be familiar with the photo. Joe Biden's in an auto factory, and he's nose to nose with a guy in a hard hat, and he says, "I don't work for you." And it's a foreign concept to me, because I look around this room, and I can't help but think to myself, if you guys are my boss, and this county is my office, and my job is to make this county better, I'm already a very blessed man. I'm John Gentle. I'm the sitting county commissioner for District 1, affectionately referred to as the spicy one. Truth is, it might not be affection. It's hard for me to tell sometimes. But I promise I'll live up to that billing tonight, and I'd like to start with this guy's 1984. Woman by the name of Clara Peller, 82 years old, stands all of 4 foot 10 inches tall. She becomes an international overnight sensation, speaking only 3 words. Does anyone remember what those 3 words were? 1984.
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? Absolutely, where's the beef? Clara Peller is taking it to McDonald's and Burger King in an ad that has become such a great metaphor for campaign season, hasn't it? Because let's face it, everyone on this side of the podium has giant buns right now, right? No offense, guys. It's all giant buns until the 1st of January. You get to open up that cheeseburger and see what's inside, and you tell me, is there any beef in there? Listen, every 4 years, people are going to stand right on this spot. And they've all got a shiny thing, don't they? They've all got a sparkly thing to get your attention. Yeah, the truth is, the message is identical. You guys stop me if you've heard this one. I promise. I read my lips. Scout's honor, I promise if you make me commissioner, I'll do all the things. And some of you are smiling, and that's because you know we do things a little differently in Pend Oreille County, don't we? In Pend Oreille County, they say no. No, 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 no. You go do all the things. You go do all the things, and you do them day after day, year after year, for a decade, or 2, or 3. And when you've done all the things, you have no choice. We'll put you in office. And I think that's because the people of Pend Oreille County understand that public servant isn't a title. Public servant isn't a business card. It's certainly not a t-shirt or a ball cap that you can throw on for campaign season. Folks, I would submit to you that public servant is a heart condition. It's a heart condition that many people in this room have. You can look around, you recognize them because they are always at the table. If you have this heart condition, you have a body of work that precedes you. If you have this heart condition, you have a body of work that fills pages. And if you have this heart condition, you're up until 3 in the morning trying to solve for quality of life for the people of this county. The message is, if you have this condition, there's already proof. You can check references. You can get the answers you're looking for. Is it important that you require proof? Maybe now more than ever. I suspect every election it feels like the most important election. I'll say this, my pastor used to bust this one out about every 6 months. He'd wake up, have too much coffee or something, I couldn't tell you. He'd come in and he'd say, if someone accused you of being a follower of Christ, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Whoa, buddy, I'm just here for the singing. Wait, why you got to come and step on toes like that? It was always so profound. I always took it just like a kidney shot. And I tried to live my life that way, personally, professionally. If I'm going to stand here and tell you that I'm a public servant, is there enough evidence of that to convict me? A jury of my peers, will they find enough evidence of that? It's a question you should be asking of everyone. This is not unique to county commissioner position. You should ask that of everyone in these chairs here tonight. I do have a favor to ask of you guys. Something you can do for me, it's a little bit of homework. You're going to get a lot of information tonight. And you're going to get bombarded with politics for the rest of the year, frankly. But at some point, you guys are going to walk out that door right there. And when you do, I want you to stop and I want you to take a second. And I want you to look around and I want you to see this town again for the first time. And I want you to remember why you chose to live here and why you might choose to raise a family here. I want you to feel that freedom all over your face. And I hope that's a good reminder for you come November 3rd, what's at stake. Guys, it's been my privilege, the singular privilege of my lifetime to work for you, to work with you, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you, John. Like I don't know. Makes me feel better. Next is County Commissioner, District 3, Kevin Young.
It's good seeing all of you tonight. I thank you for being here. It's a great privilege to be in front of you. My name's Kevin Young. To give you some history on me, I was born in Dayton, Washington, into a wheat and cattle ranch that I worked on most of my life. And when I was, excuse me, when I was 13, I became an entrepreneur. I was getting hay crews together, hauling hay for farmers, putting up 100 ton a day into barns. And so that's how I got started. I was a motocrosser, a snowmobile racer, a drag racer. I went to California, worked 10 years as a heavy equipment operator, and came back and started a family. I have 7 children and a beautiful wife, got 12 grandchildren, and I have been a general contractor, did that for 12 years, worked for the Washington State Department of Transportation, and retired after 30 years, and they required the COVID shot. I said, no, I'm not gonna take it, I'll just leave right now. And so, you know, it's my way of kind of saying, my body, my choice. And that's the only way I can say that as a man, I guess. I would love to be your county commissioner. One of the first things that I plan on doing is doing away with the Growth Management Act. As a contractor, and I'm building on my own property right now, government only puts stumbling blocks in front of me and everybody else that's wanting to build and go down that road. I'm looking to give people stepping stones, to let them get to where they want to be, to cut regulation. The green energy policies that we have in the county are another thing that have to go. When I'm building and they want to know what I'm gonna do to jump through the hoops of green energy, my wood stove doesn't count. And that doesn't make any sense. A friend of mine is building a 1,200 square foot addition to his house, make a room for his daughter, and some other things. Before he could get the permit, he had to replace his water heaters with a $7,000 water heater to meet the green energy rules before he would get his permit. Our roads are in need of repair. I know how to build roads, and I think I can help get that done. We've got a problem with the values of our property. My assessed value now has gone beyond the true value of my property, what I could sell it for, and I've never seen that before in my life. Assessed value has always been below actual value. So, as we look at that, as I understand it, our property taxes are only supposed to go up 1.5% per year, no matter how much the value of the home or the property has gone up. I have an engineer friend told me the other day that his taxes went up 40%. That's crazy. That has to change. Something has to change with that. We're in desperate need of homes. And so getting rid of the Growth Management Act and the green energy policies will lower the price of housing. And if we can get zoning laws different to where we can get more properties to build on, we can build the houses that are needed in this county. I've got a lot more stuff here to talk about, but I think you understand that I want to make government smaller. I want to cut regulation, lower taxes where I can. I want to make this county a better place. We've got conflicts of interest in the county. Different county members or county officials being family members. Now that's where you get some real problems. I'm not saying that anybody's doing anything wrong, but there could be the proprietary thoughts of people doing anything wrong. So in any case, I'm Kevin Young. I ask for your vote. I want to serve you, and let's make this county great again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And the incumbent for the District 3 Commissioner, Brian Smiley.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time tonight wasting our time talking about who I am, especially to this group, especially to my district. You guys know me. I was born in this county. I've lived within a mile and a half of this building for 40 plus years. Saying that makes me feel old. It does. I still feel like I'm a kid, and I say that out loud. It's like it makes me feel old. Out of sheer stubbornness, and some of you, I look out here, and some of you people know me, you know I can be really stubborn. Out of sheer stubbornness, I stayed here. I made my family here. With the help of my family, we built a family business here. Worst place in the world, I think, to build a family business. Again, out of sheer stubbornness, you know, my dad and I built that business. I made my living here. Again, some of you that have made your living here, you know that's a tough thing to do. I've served in the open. I've walked in the daylight. I've lifted my banner high. I've poured out my heart for this place. I've laid everything on the line for this county. Until the day I die, I will continue to do so. I will continue. Across the river over there, a mile away, there's a plot of ground in the cemetery, and that's where I'm going to be buried. I'm going to die here to my last breath. I will serve my God here. A long time ago, I realized that I was called to live and to serve in this place. I will serve my family in this place. I will build this place up. I will build the people and the communities and the servants of this place up with every breath that I've been given. I will defend our freedoms. I will defend our way of life. I will defend this community. I will speak the truth. I will oppose those that would divide us. I will oppose those that deceive us. I will oppose those that use us. That is a promise. That is true. There is no question about that. There is none. Because that is who I am. Those of you that know me know that that is who I am. The question before the voters is, where will I serve? Where will I serve? The fact that those things will take place is no question. It is no question. That's enough about me. I said I wasn't going to spend a lot of time talking about me. That's enough about me, okay? Really tonight, my goal is to talk about the Board of County Commissioners. And I think if there's one thing I've learned in the last few years, and there's a lot of things I've learned, but one thing I've really learned is people really don't understand what a county commissioner is and what they do. What makes a really good county commissioner? And exactly what is it that they do? I've had multiple people ask me that. Exactly what is it that you do? And it's kind of like going home, guys, and your wife's there exhausted, and you say, well, what did you do today? Okay, it's a lot like that, okay? What skills and characteristics are critical to being a county commissioner? I could spend hours telling all the things that have fallen on the commissioners in the past few years. Budgets, and negotiations, COVID mandates, inflation, the comp plan, lawsuits, resignations, false accusations, innuendos, disputes, political nonsense. I could go on. I could make predictions of what's going to come to pass in the next term. Okay? And I can even make bold predictions of what I'm going to accomplish. I heard some of that tonight. Some real bold predictions. I'm going to do this. I could do that. As if one commissioner can do anything. Let me put that, just file that away. Okay. What lies ahead for the county commissioners? What lies ahead? The fact is we don't know. The fact is you don't know. I don't know. Nobody really knows what's ahead for this county. Nobody really knows what's ahead for this nation. I think we all have a sense of dread a little bit about it, of what the future holds. Given that, what do you look for? What do you look for in a commissioner? What do you look for in elected office? What do you look for tonight in this assembled group of people? I'm here to tell you it's not what they can do. It's not some skill they have, or they claim to have, or some special knowledge, or the great things they promise they will do. It's who they are. It's their character. It's what they're made of. It's not what they have done. It's what they are doing. It's what they will continue to do. Actions stem from character. Servants serve. They sacrifice. They're humble. True men tell the truth. They keep their promises. Brave men are not afraid. They lead. They don't give up. They're loyal. Men of understanding know the way forward. They don't act out of ignorance. Hey, the question for the voters is, who do they trust to serve them on the Board of Commissioners in an uncertain future? I tell you, choose those who already are doing what they claim to do. I tell you to choose those who have a life that has demonstrated that character. Choose those who have been serving, who have been in the fight, who are leading, who tell the truth. Critics watch the battle from high, comfortable places and shoot at those that wage war. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Brian. And so last two is for PUD Commissioner Troy Moody.
Thank you very much. You guys getting tired yet? No? I want to clear up some things. Number one, you'll see I don't have a stump speech. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. Just step up and say, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's what I believe. But I want to clear some things up. One thing is in my mind. Were any of you extras in The Postman when they made that? Two? Cool. Cool. I've met real movie stars. I like that. A couple other things I want to clear up. Number one, suing Moody, Troy Moody, no relation. Different sides of the state. I know who was thinking that, who was wondering about that. Another thing, Tegan, some of us did not get off a recliner to come here. You guys can see from my sunburn that went around my sunglasses that I came off the boat. I was fishing. and on our beautiful Ponderay River. So there, 3 things I wanted to clear up. Guys, I do want to be your PUD commissioner for District 1's C1. The reason why I want to do that is because I've been here my whole life. I've owned a construction company my whole life, except for when I was working with my dad, for my dad in the 80s. And who was it up here that said something about feeling old? Yeah, definitely doing that. But anyway, I've been a resident of our county here for 45 of my 59 years. And I love this county. And I've always been subject to what other people were deciding. We've all been subject to what other people decide. Sometimes it's to our benefit, sometimes it's to our deference. Is that the right word? To our not benefit. I'm a simple guy. I graduated Newport High School. Married my high school sweetheart. Been married for 40 years. Excuse me. 40 years. I kind of get emotional about her. My kids are here in the neighborhood. My grandkids are here. And we are family. I tried to figure out what I wanted to say to you guys, sitting here listening to everybody else, and there's so many great presentations that I'm not that guy. I don't have that great presentation. I just have me. My idea is that I want to serve. I want to make sure. I want to be the sentinel on the wall. One thing that we know for a fact is no matter where we look in our lives, on our budgets and our finances, prices are going up. Our cost is going up faster than our incomes. The PUD is one of those places where, because it's power, no matter, I'm not talking about the county, across the nation, prices are going up. I want to be the sentinel on the wall. I want to be the guard at the gate because I am one of us. I've been a ratepayer here in the county for my whole life. And I understand that we need to have a person of principle. We need to have a person who has been on the outside. We don't need to have someone, I believe, who comes out of the organization. Look at your typical politicians, national, state, it doesn't matter. If a person spends their entire life in politics or in an organization, they don't have the same perspective as the rest of us. Because we've been on the outside, and we've been taking the beatings, and we see it from the standard residents or ratepayers' perspective. I want to be your guy. I want to get to know you. And I say that here in the north end because I don't get up here very often. When Steve Minnick said he drove the farthest, I'm going, really? You're at Diamond Lake, I'm south of you. He said, Boise. I go, never mind. Okay, I'm going to be quiet here. One of the things that a lot of people have said, and I love that about our community, so many people up here talk about their faith. And the Bible says to do all things to the glory of God. It doesn't mean all things Sunday morning. It doesn't mean just with your family. It means all things. Your job. I've been a contractor my whole life, mostly drywall. About 40 years of hanging sheetrock and finishing sheetrock. So even doing that, you've got to do it with integrity, honesty to your customers, and you've got to make sure that you do the best you can, especially if you claim to be a person of faith. Because most people will look at you if you say, well, I'm a Christian. People look at you and go, that's what a Christian is? I don't want no part of that. So we have a higher judge, don't we, than just the people around us. We have to answer to him, and that's what's important. So I have to apologize a little bit. I'm a son of a Southern Baptist preacher, and I've preached once or twice myself, so I'm going to try to keep this short. I love to be, by the way, I love that part of life. I'd like to answer your questions later. I do not have that in-depth knowledge of exactly how the PUD works on the inside. What I do know is it's about governance and policy and taking care of the ratepayers, because it isn't the people in Seattle who own this PUD. It's you guys. And you guys are the bosses. And if I'm elected as your PUD commissioner, I am your servant. And I think John said something about positions of power versus service. Most people want to take a position of service and turn it into a position of power or prestige, and that's not what it's about. It's at the end of the day making sure that I'm looking out for your best interests, and that's what I'm after. My name is Troy Moody. I ask for your vote for PUD Commissioner. Thank you.
you, Troy. And our final candidate for the evening, running for PUD Commissioner, is Joe Only, and the current incumbent.
Thank you, Floyd. Although I'm a little irritated with you because you didn't inform me in the beginning that I'd be the last person standing between here and the bar. But I am. So give me a second to get organized. I appreciate everybody's discussion out here. It makes me jealous. I'm an engineer instead of being somebody like an attorney or a lawyer who speaks so well. I have notes in front of me so I don't do a Bidenism while I'm up here on stage. So good evening. I'm Joe Only, your candidate for PUD Commissioner, and currently in that role with previously 30 plus years of experience working as a PUD employee. First and foremost, I'm going to wait until the end to thank you for being here tonight and carrying who represents you in elected office here in Pend Oreille County. Oh, gosh darn it, excuse me a moment, I have to make a phone call. Good evening. You have reached Metaline Falls with your cell phone. This was made possible as the PUD Electric Company, through my community network department, sought and obtained a grant to build a cell tower up on the hill in 2007, 17 years ago. I hope you've enjoyed the service that's been provided. Thank you. You would have had cell phone service up here eventually, but I don't think 17 years ago, without the PUD, an electric company, doing something like that. This call was made possible because I was able to secure a grant to have the cell phone tower constructed up by the water treatment plant and made good buddies with the cell phone people that were putting up that tower, and we convinced them, let's put one at Box Canyon Dam too. And so a Box Canyon Dam tower went in. You had a pretty good cell service as the North area for 17 years, and all cell towers are connected. So I was in the Air Force for 4 years and belonged to the American Legion down there. Not a real active member, but maybe I should change. And I've done several other community involvement, the Planning Commission and getting the Growth Management Act looked through for the last 30 years or whatever. So I have been a volunteer firefighter for 10 years, a church treasurer twice for 5 years. So I like to think of myself as a servant of the people. I do a lot of volunteer work outside of that. I borrow in my campaign a quote from General Patton. If everybody is thinking the same, someone's not thinking. During my tenure at the PUD, it was often questioned, hey, we're an electric company. What's up with this fiber stuff? I wasn't thinking the same. The linemen, they hated me. They despised me. But suddenly their wives, their children, their neighbors, hey, we like this high-speed fiber stuff. This is good stuff. So, even the linemen came around because they enjoyed the overtime they get for putting the fiber optics back up in the air. So I worked at the PUD, as Sarge said earlier, for 30 years as a degreed engineer from Gonzaga University. Fun fact, went to school at John Stockton. That tells you how old he is now. He never played horse with me. I was known at the PUD for 20 years as the fiber guy since 1996. So I guess I'm qualified to share a little history of the fiber story. The PUD built fiber on the Box Canyon to Newport transmission line in 1996 to connect our offices and substations. It was a lonely island of fiber just in the middle of Pend Oreille County, kind of doing nothing but serving the PUD electrical monitoring and connecting our two offices between Box Canyon and Newport. From General Patton, someone isn't thinking. I go, well, let's get a hold of Seattle City Light. I understand they have a dam somewhere up here. And they do, a big dam. And they would like to communicate with Seattle. And that they could do that through fiber optic very efficiently. So I convinced them, hey, I'll give you some of my fiber optics here in Pend Oreille County if you'll build the fiber optics from Pend Oreille County, Newport specifically, into Spokane. And we did that, and we got it all connected here in there. So that was pretty cool. When that system was complete in 2000, under my direction, we hooked up the Selkirk, Cusick, and Newport school districts, as well as the health clinic and I own the Newport Hospital and government agencies in 2000. So, talking about rewards in your career, this is a newspaper. Does anybody know what that is? Okay, Sonia, you don't count. This is the Spokesman Review from Sunday, August 24th, 2003. Long time ago, 21 years ago. I'd like to read you a little clip out of that. If you didn't see it, it was a young boy. He's laying in a hospital bed, has an injury to his chest. I can share that with you later when we talk. And I'll read you a little excerpt out of the article. A boy falls off his bike while racing a friend downhill. Happens every summer. But when the 9-year-old Cole Aker of Newport, Washington fell Wednesday, the bicycle handlebar, one bare metal end pounded into his chest, rupturing his valve and heart. On and on and on. Basically, it says getting Cole the care he needed involved both high-tech fiber optic and the connections and a low-tech gut instinct. That was a pretty happy day for me. So that was nice, really nice, and I saw an opportunity to make it even nicer. With 10 years under our belt of competently operating a robust and reliable system, that was the cornerstone of my going after and receiving a grant to build fiber to all of Pend Oreille County. Regrettably, you know the story here in the north. PUD got the $27 million, but we could not build where Pend Oreille telephone served. So in my tenure as commissioner, after I left the PUD after 30 years, I send my strong message, very strong message at most board meetings to put serious resources into obtaining a grant for fiber in the north. I know how to do that, I've done it, and I'm gonna see that it happens again. Thank you. And I've opposed rate increases. In fact, one year I proposed a rate decrease, and I was outvoted by my opposing commissioners. I saw a large expenditure that I thought was frivolous. I tried to talk that one down. I do get involved. I am not a friend of the employees. I'm a servant to the people that are served by the PUD. In closing, when you see my yellow signs, please notice the bottom where it says experience, experience. I have close to 40 years of experience with the PUD, and I believe I can represent you well. So when you head to the polls, or more likely the mailbox with your ballot, I respectfully ask that you consider it the only choice. And I thank you very much for your time. Bar done.
Thank you, Joe. That concludes the evening as far as this portion. All the candidates are gonna, I believe, hang around and you can talk with them and stuff. Is this gonna get posted, do you know? Or is this just live stream?
No, it's on there forever, as long as YouTube allows it.
Okay, however that works. So hopefully this gets out to lots of people. And yeah, with that, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you candidates, and to all of it.
Thank you.